When a line gets crossed that can never be uncrossed, when the chaos goes too far, and when authority has no choice but to drop the hammer, you get a moment that sends shockwaves through the entire wrestling world. Adam Pearce just fired Seth Rollins following his brutal attack on Finn Balor, and the fallout from this decision is going to change everything. What's up, Wrestling-verse family? Welcome back to the channel where we break down the moments that shake the foundation of wrestling, the decisions that nobody saw coming, and the consequences that will be felt for months to come. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell because what we're covering today is career-altering. Let's dive in. Before we get into the firing itself, we need to understand the explosive situation that led to this unprecedented decision. We're talking about two of the most talented, most decorated superstars in the business, and a rivalry that spiraled completely out of control. Seth Rollins, the visionary, the revolutionary, a former world champion multiple times over. This man has been at the top of the wrestling world for years. Seth has main evented the biggest shows, carried championships with pride, and delivered classic matches that fans will remember forever. But with all that success comes pressure. With all that expectation comes the weight of maintaining that elite status. And sometimes, when that pressure builds and builds, when frustration mounts, when things don't go your way, something snaps. And that's exactly what we witnessed with Seth Rollins. Seth has always been known for his intensity, his passion, his fire. But recently, that fire has been burning out of control. The competitive nature that made him a champion started to turn into something darker, something more dangerous. Now let's talk about Finn Balor, the prince, the extraordinary athlete who has conquered every level of professional wrestling. From his incredible run around the world to becoming a multiple-time champion, Finn has proven time and again that he's one of the best to ever do it. Finn brings an intensity all his own. That demon persona, that incredible in-ring ability, that connection with the fans, it all makes Finn Balor one of the most compelling superstars in the business today. He's respected in that locker room, he's beloved by fans worldwide, and he's someone who always gives everything he has. The rivalry between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor had been building for weeks. Competitive tension, verbal confrontations, matches that pushed both men to their absolute limits. This wasn't just about wins and losses, this was personal. Every encounter seemed to raise the stakes higher. Every promo got more heated. Every match got more intense. The writing was on the wall that something was going to explode, but nobody anticipated just how far Seth Rollins would go. And then came the moment that changed everything. The attack that crossed every line imaginable. Seth Rollins snapped in a way we've never seen before. The attack on Finn Balor wasn't just aggressive, it was vicious. It was calculated. It was the kind of assault that goes beyond competition and enters territory that wrestling authority figures cannot ignore. We're talking about an attack that didn't stop when it should have. An assault that continued even when Finn was clearly defenseless. The kind of brutality that had other superstars rushing to pull Seth away. The kind of moment that makes you realize something has gone terribly wrong. Seth used everything at his disposal. The ring, the floor, equipment around the ringside area, nothing was off limits in his mind. This wasn't about sending a message in the heat of competition. This was about hurting Finn Balor in the worst way possible. Officials tried to intervene but Seth was in a zone. A dark place where reason didn't exist. The visionary had lost his vision. The revolutionary had become reckless. And Finn Balor was paying the price for Seth's complete mental breakdown. The aftermath of the attack was devastating. Medical personnel rushed to check on Finn Balor. The concern on everyone's faces told the story. This was serious. This wasn't just kayfabe. This wasn't just storytelling. The level of aggression displayed had real consequences. Finn was helped to the back, and the reports started coming in about potential injuries. The wrestling world held its collective breath waiting for updates on the prince's condition. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins stood in that ring, chest heaving, eyes wild, seemingly shocked by his own actions. And that's when Adam Pearce knew he had no choice. Adam Pearce, the WWE official, the man responsible for maintaining order and ensuring superstar safety, was put in an impossible position. As a former wrestler himself, Pearce understands the passion, the intensity, the competitive fire that drives these athletes. But he also understands where the line is, and Seth Rollins didn't just cross that line, he obliterated it. Pearce had to consider multiple factors. The severity of the attack, the potential injuries to Finn Balor, the message it would send to the locker room if such behavior went unpunished, and the precedent it would set for the future. This wasn't a decision that could be made lightly. Reports indicate that Pearce consulted with other officials, with medical personnel about Finn's condition, and likely with higher-ups in the organization. Everyone understood that what happened couldn't just result in a fine or a suspension. This required drastic action. And then came the announcement that stunned the wrestling world. Adam Pearce appeared and delivered the news that nobody wanted to believe was possible: Seth Rollins was fired. The announcement sent shockwaves through the entire industry. Social media exploded. Fans couldn't believe what they were hearing. Seth Rollins, a cornerstone of the roster, a main event player, a franchise talent, fired. Pearce's reasoning was clear and direct. He explained that while he respects Seth's contributions and accomplishments, there is zero tolerance for the kind of attack that was perpetrated against Finn Balor. The safety of all superstars must come first, and when that safety is compromised to such an extreme degree, consequences must be severe. The gravity in Pearce's voice, the seriousness of his demeanor, this wasn't a storyline announcement played for drama. This felt real. This felt like a legitimate authority figure making an impossibly difficult but absolutely necessary decision. Seth Rollins was given the opportunity to respond, and what followed was a mixture of defiance and realization. On one hand, Seth tried to justify his actions, talking about the pressure he's under, the frustration of recent setbacks, the feeling that he needed to make a statement. But you could also see moments where the weight of what he'd done seemed to hit him. Moments where the reality of his termination became real. The visionary who had calculated so many victories had miscalculated the one thing that mattered most: the consequences of going too far. Seth's response ranged from anger at the decision to moments of what appeared to be genuine regret about Finn's condition. He talked about giving everything to the business, about sacrificing his body night after night, about deserving better than to be fired for letting his passion overflow. But passion and assault are two different things. And Adam Pearce made it clear that no matter how decorated your career, no matter how many main events you've been in, there are lines that cannot be crossed. The wrestling community has been divided over this decision. Let's break down the reactions. Some fans and wrestlers support Adam Pearce's decision completely. They argue that wrestler safety must be paramount, that the attack on Finn Balor was inexcusable, and that tough decisions like firing a top star send the message that nobody is above the rules. These supporters point out that allowing such behavior would set a dangerous precedent. They also note that Finn Balor is beloved in that locker room, and the roster needed to see that their safety would be protected. When a line is crossed that severely, the response must be equally severe. On the other side, there are fans and even some wrestlers who think the firing went too far. They argue that Seth should have been suspended, fined, or forced into anger management, but that firing a talent of his caliber over one incident, no matter how bad, seems excessive. These critics point to Seth's years of contributions, his status as a draw, his importance to programming, and argue that there were other ways to handle the situation. Some suggest this could be a storyline firing that will be reversed, because the idea of actually losing Seth Rollins seems unthinkable to them. Wrestling analysts have been debating every angle of this situation. The precedent it sets, the message it sends, the business implications of losing a main event talent, and what it means for both Seth's future and Finn's recovery. As for Finn Balor, the latest updates indicate he's recovering, but the attack left its mark both physically and mentally. The Prince has shown incredible toughness throughout his career, overcoming injuries and setbacks, but this situation is different because it wasn't an accident or a match gone wrong, it was a deliberate assault. Finn's response has been measured and classy. Instead of celebrating Seth's firing or demanding more punishment, Finn has focused on his recovery and expressed that he just wants to get back in the ring. That level of professionalism in the face of such an attack shows why Finn Balor is so respected. So what happens next? That's the question everyone is asking. For Seth Rollins, being fired opens up multiple possibilities. Is this truly the end of his time with this company, or is there a path to redemption? Could this be the beginning of a dramatic storyline where Seth must earn his way back? Could he show up elsewhere? The uncertainty is killing fans. Some speculate that Seth might need to demonstrate genuine change, perhaps working independent shows, proving he can control his emotions, and eventually making a case for reinstatement. Others think this could be a short-term storyline firing that gets reversed after proper punishment and an apology tour. The business side of this cannot be ignored either. Seth Rollins is a massive talent. Merchandise sales, ticket sales, television ratings, he's a proven draw. The company will feel his absence in very real ways, which makes this decision even more shocking. For Finn Balor, once he's medically cleared, he'll likely return to huge reactions. The sympathy and support from fans will be at an all-time high. This could be the launching point for a championship run or major storyline that capitalizes on the emotional investment fans now have in his story. For Adam Pearce, this decision cements his role as a legitimate authority figure who will make tough calls when necessary. It's easy to suspend mid-carders or fine people for minor infractions, but firing a main event talent takes courage. This establishes that Pearce's word means something. The locker room dynamics have also shifted. Every superstar now knows that there are genuine consequences for crossing certain lines. The days of getting away with excessive attacks are over. This could lead to a more controlled environment, or it could lead to more creative storytelling within boundaries. Could we see Seth Rollins issue a public apology? Could there be a storyline where he attends anger management or counseling? Could Finn Balor have any say in whether Seth returns? These questions will drive conversation for weeks. There's also the possibility of surprising twists. What if another superstar comes forward saying they were planning to file complaints about Seth's behavior? What if this attack was the final straw in a pattern nobody was talking about publicly? Wrestling always has layers we don't initially see. Wrestling vs. family. This is the kind of moment that reminds us that wrestling storylines can be unpredictable and consequential. Whether you agree with Adam Pearce's decision or not, you cannot deny that this has created more conversation and debate than almost anything else happening in wrestling right now. The firing of Seth Rollins following his brutal attack on Finn Balor represents a turning point. It shows that actions have consequences, that talent level doesn't exempt you from accountability, and that wrestling authority figures will protect superstars' safety above all else. This story is far from over. We'll be tracking every development, every update on Finn's recovery, every hint about Seth's future, and every reaction from the wrestling world. This is the kind of storyline that will have ripple effects for months. So what do you think? Wrestling vs. family. Did Adam Pearce make the right call firing Seth Rollins? Was the punishment too harsh or exactly what was needed? What should happen next? Drop your thoughts in the comments section. I want to hear all perspectives on this. If you want to stay updated on every development in this story, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our coverage. And give this video a like if you found our breakdown helpful. Share this with your wrestling friends who need to know about this massive decision. Let's keep the conversation going. Wrestling is at its best when moments like this create real debate and genuine emotion. The landscape of wrestling has changed with one decision. Seth Rollins is out. Finn Balor is recovering. And Adam Pearce has shown he'll make the tough calls when necessary. We'll continue covering every angle of this story as it develops. Until next time, wrestling vs. family. Stay passionate about wrestling, keep those discussions respectful, and remember that in this business, anything can happen and consequences are real. I'll catch you in the next video where we break down more of the action that has everyone talking. Peace. Video description. Shocking news. Adam Pearce has fired Seth Rollins following his brutal attack on Finn Balor. We break down the attack, the decision, and what this means for everyone involved. This is the most controversial moment of the year. Bell subscribe for breaking wrestling news. Thumbs up like if you have thoughts on this decision. Speech balloon comment whether you agree with the firing. Hashtag Seth Rollins, hashtag Finn Balor, hashtag Adam Pearce, hashtag WWE, hashtag wrestling news, hashtag fired, #wrestlingverse. Thumbnail suggestions. Split image. Seth Rollins looking shocked, Adam Pearce looking stern. Large red fired stamp or text overlay. Finn Balor image in corner showing concern. High contrast dramatic lighting. Bold text. Career over. Shocked, serious expression emphasis. Notes for creator. Use serious, dramatic music for gravity of situation. Maintain professional tone while keeping energy. Emphasize the shocking nature without sensationalizing. Include on-screen text for key points and names. Balance multiple perspectives fairly. Runtime: 8 minutes exactly. All content is original commentary. No copyrighted footage referenced. Respects YouTube community guidelines completely.